So I have come again with the new chapter now, that is chapter number 3, which includes reproduction in animals. Alright? So in the last sessions we did reproduction in plants. Okay? Today we will do now reproduction in animals. That is from chapter number 3. Okay? So reproduction is very much, I think, clear to you, because in the whole sessions, in the last whole sessions, that means 3 sessions I took last time to complete that chapter number 2, then we talked about the reproduction. So let me tell you once again what actually it is. It is a process by which living organisms produce the new ones of their own kind. That is reproduction. Today we will be dealing with the same process in case of animals. Okay, in case of animals. So, like in the case of reproduction in plants, here in plant animals also, reproduction can be seen in 2 ways. It can be seen in 2 types. Okay, so types of reproduction. Types of reproduction. Types of reproduction in animals. In animals. Alright? That is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. See. Okay? So, this reproduction in animals is also of 2 types. That is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Okay? So first we'll talk about asexual reproduction. Okay? Asexual reproduction. As you know that this asexual reproduction usually takes place in a very simple type of animals. Very simple type of animals usually, which is made up of 1 cell. Usually in the case of unicellular organism or in the case of unicellular animal, this asexual reproduction takes place where the male and female organisms are not involved. Simply from one parent itself, by certain easiest methods, the new ones are formed. Okay, like in the case of asexual reproduction in plants, same here also you find. Okay, so this asexual reproduction also here in this case has been described in 3 ways. Okay, has been described in 3 ways. Number 1, we have binary fission. We have binary fission. See here, we have binary fission. So this binary fission was discussed in case of plants also. Okay, then in case of plants, it was represented by your bacteria. Bacteria was the one which also, goes through that process. Okay, go through that process. That is binary fission from one bacterium to bacteria by simply splitting into 2. In the same way, in case of animals also, there is a binary fission which we find out here being represented by another example called amoeba. See, amoeba. Amoeba is a unicellular organism. Okay, is a unicellular animal which reproduces by means of binary fission. In which what happens is that one mature parent amoeba will be splitting into 2 amoebae. Okay, into 2 amoebae. Simply splitting into 2, which is called binary fission. Suppose, let us say, this is amoeba. This is what? Amoeba. Then this is nucleus. This is nucleus. Okay, this is nucleus. Then what happens when it is mature? Now, when the time comes for its reproduction, for its formation of new ones, then what happens slowly? This will be slowly elongated like that. The nucleus will be slowly elongated like that. Then slowly what happens is that again in the next phase, this will be completely trying to run into. And in the 3rd case, you see, in the 4th case, at the last stage of the process, what happens is that from one from one parent amoeba, no? Two amoebae will be formed. Now see, two amoebae will be formed like that. From one here, the other one is here. So that way, two amoebae will be formed. From one parent amoeba, two daughter amoebae will be formed by the simple method called binary fission. So this is the simple method, simple asexual method in case of animal. Okay, and here this animal you find being represented by simple unicellular animal called amoeba, which is producing or reproducing by means of binary fission. Okay, then we have next. We have next process. We have number 2, budding. See budding. So budding, example you can see hydra. In case of hydra, okay, even in starfish. So this budding can be seen. So there in the asexual reproduction in plants also we have found one of the processes to be budding, where we have got yeast. Okay, yeast is a fungus in fact that reproduces by means of budding. So here in case of animal there are hydra and starfish and many others maybe, but here we find two hydra and starfish, reproducing by means of budding. Okay, simply from a mature parent, bud is formed, and over the course of time that bud will be detached from the parent body, and that will lead to a single individual life. For example, you see, I'll just try to draw it. Okay? See. Simple like that, you see. These are 10 tangles. Okay? Then it is called hypostome. Okay? And this is a bud. See, bud. See, in this creature, what happens is that when a parent organism, this is a hydra, this parent animal called hydra, when it is matured now, then what happens is that from some part of the body, a bud will be formed. This is a bud. This bud will be formed, and when this bud is now having everything there, like tentacles, and can now lead to a single individual life, then it will detach from here. It will detach from here, then this particular one will lead to a single individual life. So this is how the budding also takes place in the animals. In a very simple, creature, in very simple animal, this budding is possible, which is one of the asexual reproductions in animals. Then third one we have regeneration. Another asexual reproduction we can see. Regeneration, example you can see one hydra. One hydra can show the regeneration. Then hydra, let us say hydra. So in regeneration what happens is that not only in hydra but in many other multicellular animals also we see when they miss some parts of the body, when some parts are cut up, when some parts are by some way are lost, like in the case of lizard, you see lizard. Okay, in case of lizard, what happens? Suppose a tail is lost, tail is cut off. Over the course of time, that tail will be replaced. The new tail will be formed. Okay, that is also kind of regeneration. Okay, so in the case of hydra also, if any part is lost, that part will be regenerated. So that's simply a process of regeneration. But the regeneration can also be used by some organisms like hydra cell to reproduce the new ones. That I have drawn before. Suppose that's the hydra. I just drawn there before. Suppose this is the hydra. Okay, that I have drawn it before. Okay, suppose this hydra Suppose this hydra is cut into number of sections. Suppose from here these three parts are cut separately. Three pieces are 4 pieces are made. Suppose 4 pieces are made. From each piece a new hydra is formed. Okay, suppose 3 pieces are cut. From 3 pieces 3 new hydra will be formed. So that's also a kind of process which is called regeneration. That's also kind of reproduction which we see in the some kinds of animals, which is called regeneration. So that's all about the asexual reproduction in animals. Okay. Now we'll go to the sexual reproduction in animals. Okay. Now sexual reproduction in animals. Now sexual reproduction. Let us talk about sexual reproduction. Okay, sexual reproduction is a complicated process in fact, which is little bit complicated than the asexual reproduction, where you find the male and female thing involved. Male and female organisms are involved to produce the new ones, which is a very long way process, which we discussed also in the plants. Okay, so in the plants there were little bit differences where we found the pollination taking place from one plant to one plant to another plants, okay, with the help of some agents. But here, those agents are not needed. So here what happens that male and female organisms, come in contact and, they go through the process and, some process they in between, so that they can produce the new ones. Which means here in the case of sexual reproduction we find the involvement of male and female organisms. Okay, male and female individuals are formed here to produce the new ones. So male produces sperms here. Okay, and female produce egg, which is also called ovum. See, male produces sperms and female produces egg or ovum. So when this sperm and ovum, fuse together, they unite together, they join together, then a zygote is formed, and zygote will be constantly taking part in the mitotic cell division. Then from one zygote is a fertilized egg, fertilized single cell. So that zygote now takes part in the cell division. So from one zygote to cells, from 2 cells to 4 cells, 4 cells to 8. So like that, the cells will be constantly, increasing in number. Then what happens? The tissue will be formed. Then tissue will be, developed into the organs into the organ systems. Then the organism comes out of the parent or mother womb or mother body. So that then the one which is coming out now from the mother womb or from mother body, that will lead to a single individual. This is how the sexual reproduction takes place in the animals. Okay, so now as far as the sexual reproduction in human beings is concerned, first let us talk about the sperm and egg. Okay, sperm. Let us say this is the sperm here and trying to draw it here. Okay, it's like that here. So this is nucleus and this is tail region. Okay, with something like a tadpole here, whose measurement is this much. It is 0.01 millimeter in length. Then your ovum. See, this is egg. This is nucleus. This is nucleus. Then your cell membrane. Okay. Then here you find what are cytoplasm. Okay. This is egg or ovum. It is also called ovum. This is sperm. This is sperm. Okay, this is sperm. So its measure will be 0.05 millimeter. So see, its length is 0.01 millimeter, whereas your ovum measures 0.05 millimeter. See, you find nucleus inside. the cell membrane, and cytoplasm here. So this is the structure of the sperm, and this is the structure of your ovum. So this is how we find the involvement of these two cells. This is reproductive cell, male reproductive cell, and this female reproductive cell. So this male and female reproductive cell will come in contact. They will fuse together, they join together and forms a zygote. When these two join together, then forms a zygote. See, they form a zygote. Zygote, Z-Y-G-O-T, zygote, not zygote, it is zygote. So this zygote now, this male and female reproductive cells when unite, the process of the union of male and female gametes, okay, is called fertilization. Alright? So that fertilization, so after the fertilization, or due to the fertilization, a zygote is formed. What is formed? Zygote. Z-Y-G-O-T, zygote is formed. Once a zygote is formed means it is the life, the new life begins now. New life begins now within the mother's womb, within the mother's body. So the new life begins out here in the form of zygote. Then that zygote will start now taking part in the in the what you call it in the cell division. So from one zygote there will be two cells like that. Two cells will be formed. Okay, these two cells. Then from these two cells to many cells like that. Okay, so from here to many cells like that again. Okay, so like that it is formed. Okay, then what happens is that slowly the tissues, then tissue to organ, okay, then organ system, then finally what is formed is last at the end the organism is formed. That means a baby is formed like that. First, what happens? Zygote is formed of the union of male and female gametes. Then that zygote will be repeatedly divided into two cells to four cells to 8 cells. It goes on, then the tissue is formed. Then tissue will be, developed into the organs, then organs into the organ system, and at the end, organism is formed. So in case of human beings, about 9 months, okay, in 9 months, everything will be formed, okay, within the mother's body, within the mother's womb. Then the time comes for the baby to come out, which is called, delivery of the baby. That's how it happens. Before reaching that far, let us first talk about the female reproductive system here first. Let's talk about the female reproductive system. Then similarly, we'll talk about the male reproductive system. First, we'll talk about the female reproductive system. This is all there in 9 also, in 10 also is there, even 11, even in 12, the same things that you have to learn in the higher classes, but little bit in depth. So here, we'll talk about now the female reproductive system first. Alright? In the female reproductive system, what we find is that first, as I was talking about the ovum, see, this ovum or the egg. This egg or ovum, egg means object. Don't think that the egg which you see, the egg of hens, not like that, okay? But here egg is like this, which is there inside the female's reproductive system. So where actually it is produced, you see, it is produced here. This is called, your ovary, see. This is called ovary. Female or the female human beings, okay, or the girls or the ladies have a pair of ovaries. Whitish, oval shaped ovaries are there in the lower half of the abdomen, or in the lower abdomen on the either side of this this uterus, on the either side of this that your uterus, there are 2 ovaries, you see, one on one side, the other one on the other side. Then here, this is where the eggs are produced. This is where this ovary and this ovary, 2 ovaries, as I'm telling you, 2 ovaries. So these 2 ovaries produce egg alternately every month. Suppose in 1 month, in the first month, suppose let us say this ovary produces 1 egg. The next month, this ovary will produce the another egg. So once at a time. Okay, I mean one at a time, alternately. Suppose this year, I mean this month, this ovary is producing the egg, the other month this one will produce an egg. So this is how alternately these two ovaries produce an egg. Okay, so once the egg is produced here in the ovary, then that will be going down to the oviduct. It will be going down to the oviduct here. Okay, it will be going down to the ovary through this funnel of oviduct. There is an expanded funnel-shaped structure there where this ovary opens. Okay, so once the egg is produced out here, that will be going down to this oviduct and downward through this funnel of oviduct. Okay. So this female egg will be reaching somewhere downward. It comes via this oviduct. Okay. Then what happens is that down there is a muscular wall, and also this, in fact, this region where this oviduct opens, okay, this region where this oviduct opens into is in fact a uterus, uterus, uterus. So uterus can be seen having these two walls, inner wall there inside or inner lining, then outer muscular wall is also there, okay, which is exposed outside. So this is inner lining and muscular wall of uterus, is the one that, as a whole makes a uterus here. So this is the part where, in fact, afterwards, when the zygote is formed, okay, when the zygote is formed, the fertilization has taken place, that zygote will be slowly coming down out here, and somewhere it fixes here on the wall of this uterine wall, on the wall of the uterus. Somewhere it makes a small pit and it fixes itself, and there it grows here on the uterine wall or on the wall of the uterus, okay, which is called implantation, that we discuss afterwards. Then what happens that this uterus will be opening into this muscular tube which is called vagina. Okay, this uterus will be opening into, okay, you see opens into a muscular tube which is called vagina through this cervix, which is also called neck of uterus, through this that opens into the muscular tube called vagina. That's called what? Vagina. And then what is there? Just down there is the opening of vagina. Opening of what? Vagina, which is also called, in fact, the opening. This is the opening through which, in fact, afterwards a baby comes out. Okay, a baby comes out. All right. So in front of this vagina, you see, in front of this vagina, in front of this opening of vagina, there is a tube. Okay, there is a pipe. Which is called urethra. So that urethra is the one through which the urine passes out. Because that, urethra is the one which is called, urethra out here. Urethra is a type of, tube connected to urinary bladder. Connected to, urinary bladder. So urinary bladder, this is the urinary bladder where the urine is found. So that urine from the urinary bladder will come down to urethra, which is in front of this, vagina. So there, urethra, then before the urethra, there is another small bulging part which is called vulva, which is also mentioned in your, your book. But whatever it is, let us not reach that part. But here what you have to understand is that as a whole, this is where the egg is produced, and that goes down to the, oviduct by this funnel of oviduct, then comes down somewhere here, and when the fertilization takes by any chance, that time the male sperm comes and fertilize it, that will come down out here and somebody it fixes. So in the form of zygote, which will develop there itself. Then that will open into the vagina through the cervix, and then vagina leads to the opening of vagina through which the baby comes out. So before that there is another small tube or the opening which is called urethra through which the urine passes out. This is is your female reproductive system. Okay, this is called the female reproductive system. Now let's go to the male reproductive system. Once we finish this female and male reproductive systems, then only we can go ahead to talk about how the baby is formed there inside and how it is delivered and how they grow up. So that we'll discuss which as a whole we call it, the process called reproduction. Okay, so before going into that process, let us talk about the male reproductive system again. Okay, male reproductive system. Now see, I've told you there is a cell, there is a reproductive cell which is called a sperm. Okay, whose measure is 0.01 millimeter, whose size is this much, 0.01 millimeter. Again, let's see, sperm. So that sperm is produced here in this. See here, this is called your testes. So even the male has got two testes. The plural, it is called testes, T-E-S, testes. Singular, it is called testes, and plural, it is testes. There are two testes. They are in the abdominal region itself, just below the abdomen. And these testes are, protected outside in a sac, which is called scrotum. See, which is called what? Scrotum or scrotal sac. This is the scrotal sac where that your testes are located, and this is where the sperm is produced. And here you find the temperature usually 2 to 3 degrees Celsius less than the body temperature. Suppose our normal body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. You have got the body temperature to be 37 degrees Celsius. But here in this case, usually 2 to 3 degrees Celsius less than that you find in this region, and that temperature is the suitable temperature for the formation of the sperms out there in the scrotum. Okay, they're in the testes, which are inside the scrotum, or which is also called scrotal sac. All right. Then now, what happens is that here in the testes, you see there is a mass of sperm producing tubes here. Mass of sperm producing tube. That means your testis itself is formed of a mass of sperm producing tube, which leads to epididymis here. You see the term called epididymis, E-P-I-D-I-D-Y-M-I-S, epididymis. That epididymis now opens into a long tube here, a long tube. Okay, a long tube here, which is called sperm duct. See, a long tube is there, originated from here. Okay, so your testes, then your epididymis, then epididymis opens into this your sperm duct, both sides. See, two sperm ducts you find, one coming from each testis here. You see, one from here, the other one from here. Both are sperm duct, which carries the sperm. Okay, once the sperm is formed and the time is coming to discharge it, that time it comes down to the sperm ducts here. Before it goes to the, this is called your, here it is your urethra. This is urethra. In this case, urethra. See here, urethra. This is urethra. In this case, this urethra carries both the things, urine as well as the, that your semen, that we talk about it afterwards. See here. Then sperm duct, before it opens into it, there are two, glands like that. There is two, glands you find coming, which are joined before this, sperm duct open into this. Before sperm duct opens into this urethra, there are two glands coming from two sides, each into this sperm duct. These two sperm duct, one from this here to this sperm duct, other one into the other sperm duct. And these two glands are called seminal vesicles. Here, seminal vesicles. See, seminal vesicles. Two seminal vesicles, each opening into these two. Each sperm duct here. One here, the other one here. So what does the seminal vesicle do out there is that this seminal vesicle produces a kind of secretion. Okay, it produces kind of secretion which serves as the medium for the transportation of sperms. Sperm is coming from here, so that sperm needs something to get transported. So it makes use of the secretion produced by this seminal vesicle. That means seminal vesicle is the one where this your sperm mix up, and by means of that, or with the help of that fluid substance, by means of that secretion produced by this, the sperm travels further. Okay, then what we find out here is that then going down here there is a big tube surrounding this oviduct. Surrounding this oviduct, before it enters this penis, there is a big what you call your dog culture, or the gland, big gland is there surrounding these two oviducts at a time, in two sperm ducts at a time, which is called prostate gland. See, prostate, prostate gland. See, prostate gland. So prostate gland surrounds these sperm ducts here, which produces alkaline. There is a chemical called alkaline is produced by this prostate gland. The function of this alkaline is to neutralize the what you call your semen. So semen, I was telling you, is formed of the sperm coming from here, and the secretion produced by that that your seminal vesicle that produces semen here. That semen which is milky white. So milky white semen is here formed of the sperm coming from here through this sperm duct, and the secretion produced by this seminal vesicle that forms semen. So that semen is now neutralized by the alkaline produced by this prostate gland. Okay, by this prostate gland. Now, then there are again two glands. Before the sperm goes to the urethra through this organ called penis. There are two glands, small glands, which are called Cowper's glands. Which are called what? Cowper's gland. See here, which are called Cowper's gland. So this Cowper's gland also produce some kind of secretion which is very much slippery. So that acts as a lubricant. So this Cowper's gland produces that lubricant here itself. Then there will be the mixture of sperm plus then you have the secretion from this your seminal vesicle plus your alkaline produced by this prostate gland. Alkaline produced by this this prostate gland. Then what is there? Then your Cowper's gland produces lubricant. All forms your semen now. Semen. See, semen is produced now. Semen was here also, but there only this sperm and this secretion produced by the seminal vesicle were there, but now a complete semen is formed. Where you find the sperm coming from here, then secretion produced by this seminal vesicle, then your alkaline produced by this prostate gland, then the lubricant produced by this Cowper's gland. These four things make a complete semen, which is milky white. Okay, so once that is formed, when a semen is produced, during that moment, when a time comes, not every time, not it's like the urination I'm talking about, but it is in fact that particular moment when it has to discharge. That time this semen is formed this way, then passes down through this penis, passes down through this urethra, which is inside this penis. This is the penis where there is inside a tube called urethra, through which this semen passes out. Okay, so through this urethra itself, the urine is also passed out. That means your urethra is a common tube through which the semen and your urine coming from this urinary bladder here. See here, this is the ureter maybe. So I mean from there is the pipe you see. So the urine coming from here will also pass out through this urethra. That means I was telling you that urethra is a common tube through which the urine as well as your semen are, passed out. Okay, are thrown out or eliminated or removed from the body. So this is the digestive pouch. So this is how your male reproductive system is formed. Okay, so when we know all those things like male and female reproductive systems, then how they function, that we have all come to know where the egg is produced, especially we need to know where the egg is produced here, and here we need to know where the sperm is produced. That we all have to know here. So that way the sperm is produced here and finally it comes out of it. So during one ejaculation, when the male, discharges it, okay, ejaculates it, that time usually 2 to 3 ml, 2 to 3 milliliter of that, semen is produced or discharged, which contains in one ejaculation 2 to 4 crores, 2 to 4 crores, 2 to 4 crores, I'll just write in the word, 2 to 4 crores of sperm are produced at a time. That means 2 to 4 crores of sperms are here in one ejaculation of the semen. When the time comes, that time it discharges, that time it has 2 to 4 crores of sperms there in one ejaculation. So all those 2 to 4 crores of sperms are not needed to fertilize the egg. Only one sperm is needed at the end. And how it happens, so we'll discuss that in the next class. So today we have just come to know the sexual reproduction in animals, the types of sexual reproduction of sexual. Then in sexual reproduction we have discussed about this, sperm and ovum, and even we have discussed about the female reproductive system and the male reproductive system. These are the different organs you find in the male and female reproductive system. So in the next class, how it happens, how is baby formed there inside. That means we need to talk about the fertilization onwards in the next class. Okay, today we'll do this much only. So before I conclude this, let me ask you to draw this diagram. Please do draw these two diagrams out here. Both the male and female reproductive systems you need to draw. Okay, that was you do today. Please draw this male, female and male reproductive systems of human beings. Okay, thank you so much.